Usually when you're finesse fishing, you give up being able to cover water because of how slow you gotta work these little guys, but not when you're speed worming. Guys, today we're breaking down the Florida swim bait, as they like to call it, and we're gonna be using Producto Lures Buzztail Worm. This is a great little technique, not only to cover a lot of water, but to be able to slow down also and fish those high percentage areas to target those pre-spawn bass that are up shallow in the vegetation, gorging themselves. So let's break down this fantastic little technique, starting with rigging. Hey, fishy. Hey, fishy, fishy, fishy. Hey, fishy, 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 fishy. Hey there, little fishy, 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 fishy. Here there, little fishy. Come here there, little yonder. Oh yeah, there we go, there we go. Yes. Oh yeah, in the sparse stuff here, baby. And this fish is hot. That's what we're looking for. The simplicity of this bait is really what makes it so effective. All you need is a 3/16 the 1/4 ounce bullet weight and a 3/0 worm hook. Rig this bait up, Texas rig, and you're all set to go. Now, a side note, in last month's Back to the Basics theme box, you received the bullet weights and the worm hooks that you need for this setup. And you're gonna start seeing that these different theme boxes fit together month to month. So I hope you like this new approach that we're taking to the boxes. Now, I rigged this setup up on 10 to 12 pound mono or fluorocarbon, and then I really use a spinning rod or a bait casting rod. It's really up to your specific preferences. And now that you've got this thing rigged up, it's all about going out and throwing it. All right, as we talked about earlier, they call this the Florida swim bait because you can really just cast it out and swim it back to the boat with a slow retrieve. This bait is gonna look realistic, like a little bait fish under the water that the bass cannot resist. But because it's weedless, you can throw it in all kinds of different situations around the vegetation, through tules, over logs. And when you find these areas, you can slow the retrieve down, and you can even stop the bait altogether and just hop it along the bottom where you think you need to slow down to trigger some strikes. This bait floats, so as you let that bait go to the bottom, that tail's gonna stick up and entice those bass. So now that we know the different retrieves that we can throw, the endless amount of variation we can put in there, let's talk about the different locations that we're gonna be looking to throw this thing. I don't know if you can see this, but there's just some nice broken up lily pads out here. There we go. And that was textbook right there. I just basically called that shot because it just looked too perfect. Guys, this is an excellent technique to use pre-spawn all the way through the spawn. As these fish are coming out of deeper water, moving into the shallower areas to feed and eventually spawn, you can target them with this worm. But the other thing that's happening this time of the year is you're having all kinds of new growth from the vegetation and weeds and things. So a lot of lures are gonna get snagged up in this stuff. And that's where the speed worm excels. You can cast this right into all that new vegetation that these bass are going right into to feel protected and eventually build their nests in, and you can swim this bait through there, you can slow it down, and you can target these different areas to find those fish. Guys, little speed worm coming right through through this little sparse stuff. Got the heavy stuff here on the outside. I want to target that shallow little sparse lily pads, and this fish hammered it on the move. Today, I'm fishing lily pads. It's a great place for these bass to come up and feel comfortable up shallow and eventually spawn at. Now, what I'm looking for with any type of vegetation is I'm not throwing into the heaviest parts of it. I'm actually looking in the edges for any kind of holes or any kind of little points that vegetation makes, or sparse tules or lily pads. And I will throw along those or through the little sparse ones. And that's usually where the bass are gonna be waiting to ambush little bait fish swimming through. And that's what I'm trying to mimic with this little worm swimming on by them. Guys, I don't care if you're fishing from the shore, kayak, or in a bass boat, this is a fantastic technique for all those conditions. So I wanna hear about the success you guys have with this bait in the comments below. Make sure you keep me informed so I can share in on your success. Guys, I'm Travis Moran, and I promise you, no one works harder to make you fish better. I will catch you out on the water.